Max Verstappen and Toto Wolff have been spotted on a yacht after all the rumors about the Dutchman going to Mercedes in 2026 have ended, with Wolff publicly stating that he's open to committing to Russell and Verstappen, putting a stop to all the rumors. What could this meetup be possibly about? And what keeps us entertained the most is what does 2027 holds for both Russell and Verstappen. As Wolff didn't keep it a secret that he had to talk to Max first before making a move on Russell's contract. The news about Russell and Max do not seem to stop. Despite both of the parties committing to their respective teams in 2026, they haven't actually calmed down the media at all. Part of that can be written to the fact that Wolff and Verstappen were spotted on a yacht in Sardinia again after the initial rumors before the commitments were made. In the pictures, you can clearly see that they're having a good time, some laughs here and there, and as reported by the Italian media outlet Autoprint, the yacht is in possession of Wolff. So Max was in the role of a guest. Elaborating further on this, the publication wrote, Toto Wolff and Max Verstappen met in Caled Vulp, Sardinia on the Austrian's yacht, where the four-time world champion was a guest. Max has renewed his commitment to Red Bull for 2026, but it's hard to believe Wall has given up on his plan to bring the Dutch driver to Mercedes, just as it's easy to imagine Verstappen is keeping several options open for 2027. Even with the engines off, F1 can be very hot. I don't want to be that guy, but it does seem like Wall is not keen on continuing with Russell beyond 2026 if there is an opportunity to have Max on board in 2027. Could you blame him? I don't think so. He has a chance to sign a four-time world champion, but he needs to nail the regulations right. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense for Verstappen to join. The contract that Verstappen has with Red Bull runs until 2028. But we all know that means little to nothing because of all the exit clauses that these higher-forming athletes have. And it is believed that the management team of Verstappen have secured an option to leave after the first year of the new regulations if the team's competitiveness plunges. As of now, the reports coming from sources close to Red Bull's powertrain units is not really optimistic. They might be behind with Audi as they're considered to be rookies in this area. Of course, Red Bull have learned a lot through their partnership with Honda, and that knowledge is likely poured in their new project. But will it be enough to land Max a competitive car? If we've learned something in 2025, it's that the current technical team is not capable of turning things around if they are to go in the wrong way. So, for example, if the 2026 car turns out to be highly uncompetitive, there's a reason for us to believe that the technical leadership under Vaca and Ballo won't be able to turn the ship around. And Max knows this perfectly well. If he was to commit to Mercedes to 2026, he had one very big risk. Perhaps McLaren, Ferrari, or Aston Martin would be a lot better than the Brackley-based squad. And for a four-time world champion to judge things wrong beforehand, it wouldn't be the smartest decision of his life. Therefore, waiting before committing is probably the best thing that he could do. That's what Gwent Steiner, the former house principal, believes as well. As he went on to say, was Max's decision to stay with Red Bull a surprise? I think it's a strategic decision. Max knows he has the option to leave Red Bull at the end of 2026. That gives him maximum flexibility. If Red Bull is in a strong position, he'll be in the right place. If not, he'll see who's up front and be able to change teams. If Mercedes shows good form from 2026 onwards, Max will get a multi-year contract there. A move from now on a long-term contract would be riskier, and that itself is a good enough of a reason for Max to keep his options for 2027 available. It's not like he said directly that after 2026 he's going to think about his future, but the fact that the commitment he's made to Red Bull publicly is just for 2026 speaks volumes as to where his standards lie. He won't race for a team that has no idea what's wrong with their car. That could easily be Mercedes again, similar to what happened in 2022, although the chances for that are fairly slim. The Brackley-based squad have been known for their engine dominance for quite some time now, and many experts and pundits are already imagining them to be at the top of these regulations, along with Ferrari, and with Aston Martin being the dark horse to take them by surprise due to the Honda factor. But then again, Wall's statements about Russell made a lot of sense. Why would you commit to your driver if you don't want to have him for a long period of time? And more importantly, why are you meeting with the main protagonist to take his seat if you know what type of controversy that would cause in the F1 media, and primarily what a dent it would cause in Russell's self-confidence. No matter what he does, he's still going to live in the fear of Verstappen making himself available because, as Wall said, he had to talk to Verstappen before he went on to talk to Russell. When explaining about this saga to a greater extent, the Austrian said, "Russell will be renewed soon. I always said I was happy with my team with Russell and Antonelli, but suddenly Max's future became uncertain, and so we talked to him too. I was always very clear with George. 90% would have stayed with us, but I also needed to talk with Verstappen. Now the situation has been clarified and everything can return to normal." You go on and say this, and then a couple of days later, Max Verstappen is spotted with nothing but a towel on your yacht in Sardinia. Doesn't that make you a little bit of a suspicious guy? At the end of the day, there is no doubt that in 2026, these two will race right where they are right now, but is it possible that Wolff is still trying to extract that little bit of information he needs? The future of Verstappen if Red Bull fails in 2026. Chances of this happening are very high. I don't want to jinx it or predict the future for the Austrian squad, but everything seems to be in shambles right now. Let's not forget that they've fired their leader of 20 years just before entering the new regulation cycle. Hare knew quite a lot about the project, and choosing to dive in this venture without him could only mean one of two things. You're either desperately trying to keep Verstappen on board, or you know that a rebuild is coming, and you're preparing for it successfully. Either way, Max holds all the cards in his hands. He didn't actually seem very entertained by the talks of him being spotted on a yacht with Wolff. As he said loud and clear, people can be friends outside of the F1 circuits. And I do agree with that, except for one thing. You're constantly being linked with the man that would have burned you alive back in 2021 if he had the chance. While your future and the future of Wolff's driver is being talked about constantly, I understand that Toto and Joss are also very close. But all that these meetings do is create suspicion that nothing is clear beyond 2026. It's what Russell believes as well. He knows that he'll race in 2026, but that doesn't guarantee that he'll have a Mercedes seat in 2027. Even if Mercedes build a rocket ship next year and take everyone by storm, exactly what they did back in 2014, and even if Russell wins a championship, we cannot be certain that he'll be the #1 choice of Wolff headed in 2027. The regulations will change again in 2030. And the shareholders of Mercedes believe that if they're ahead by a large margin, they do not need Max in their camp. They have Antonelli, someone who they've raised from his karting days, and Russell, who has gone through thick mud with Williams from 2019 onwards before being promoted to Mercedes. How do you throw one of their careers in the water just to bring a man who is not certain to race beyond the 35th year of his life? It's literally crushing your philosophy of breeding talents and giving them the opportunity of a lifetime. But at the end of the day, it is believed that Wolff has the support of Ola Källenius, the CEO of Mercedes, to pursue Verstappen's signature no matter what it takes. With all this in mind, what do you think about the future of Max Verstappen and Mercedes? And more importantly, if these two decide to collaborate, do you think it would come at the expense of Russell, who has been raised to this level by Mercedes? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video that appears on your screen right now.